right, and we're back. All right, so we're gonna wrap things up with our culture segment. So, with us being African Americans, we always look to other African Americans for motivation or whatever words you want to throw in there. One African American within the sports community, Mr. Stephen A. Smith, pretty polarizing guy. And depending on your beliefs, depending on your stance on certain issues, you may agree with him, you may not. But one thing's for sure, when his name is mentioned, emotions get high. So real quick, I want to ask you guys, when it comes to Stephen A. Smith, are we too hard on Stephen A. Smith sometimes?
I'm going to surprise y'all. I actually think we are sometimes.
What?
I agree.
Well, go. Give me.
I'll go, man. When Stephen A's when he speaks, everyone listens. He's loud. He can be a little obnoxious sometimes.
Most New Yorkers are.
But at the same time, he makes his points very clear. But I think when you have a strong personality like Stephen A. Smith, there are a lot of people who don't want to like him automatically. I know this from having someone of a strong personality. Like, people are going to take what you say.
You don't say.
And if it's one thing they don't like what you say, they're going to throw you away. I think that's the case with Stephen A. Smith. Now, let me be very clear. That does not to say that I agree with everything he says, okay? I want to make that very, very clear. But I think people don't listen to everything he has to say on a particular topic. He'll say one negative thing about someone we love and adore, and that's it. He's wrong. I hate the guy. He's a coon. He's this. He's that. And that's why it's a little strong when it comes to Stephen A. Smith. Because I want to say something in particular. He says things he doesn't like about black athletes. Sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. But I need people to understand this about Stephen A. Smith. That dude has defended black athletes for over 2 decades, and he's done it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Negativity travels a lot faster than positivity does. And when Stephen A. Smith says something that's not in favor of someone we don't like, or it's deemed as negative, that gets pushed in our face a lot more than he's defended black athletes.
What you got, Rodney?
Don't shoot me for saying this, but to me, in the African American community, we sometimes get guilty of groupthink. We're all supposed to think one way all the time.
You don't say.
And we don't value diversity in opinions, and we don't like to have dialogue about things that are hard or questions we need to answer. And actually, I respect him a lot for that, because when he has an opinion, he stands on it. I can respect the man, even if you're right or wrong, who stands on what they believe in.
He's not a flip-flopper at all.
No, not at all. Like, if he stay off the weed, like, that's his stance. And one thing I do admire about him as well is that he's an advocate of HBCUs, which we don't talk about a lot. He went to Winston-Salem State. Shout out to the Rams. But I really like the fact that he's out here. He's not making a total fool of himself in the public. His opinions might be foolish sometimes to people, but he's not out here getting in trouble. He's stating his opinion in an eloquent way. And like it or not, they're bringing up conversations that we actually need to have. And to me, it's totally unfair to label everybody that you don't agree with a coon, a sellout, anything of that nature.
Now, do you think these criticisms are a one-time thing? Like, I watched Stephen A. Smith say something about this, and I didn't like it, so automatically I'm calling him a sellout. Or do you think this has been?
This is the problem with Stephen A. Smith. Okay, he toes the company line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I think we can agree with that too.
And he'll do. I'm a black man in America. No one wants to hear that. We're all black men in America, so we are all part of the same struggle in that capacity. And in fact, I would say that sometimes he loses sight of what it means to be a regular black man in America. Yeah. Stephen A. Smith is not a regular black man in America. Makes a lot of money. He's a celebrity in that. So when you have someone that toes the company line, and to us, to normal African American men, like that's the company line is dangerous. Yeah. So so sometimes it comes down to, okay, if Stephen A. had to really pick a side, whose side would he pick?
Right.
And if he's always picking ESPN's side on these issues, then if it came down to like a real issue that really, really mattered, would he be on my side? No, he wouldn't be on my side, so therefore he's a coon. Now I don't agree with that, but I think
Yeah,
that's
and
how,
I don't do that. I don't agree with that.
But a lot of people do. That's how they see it. They feel like, hey, you got to pick a side.
I feel like Stephen A. Smith looked at the Dave Chappelle show and said, you know, that when keeping it real goes wrong, that is real ass life, man.
When did you guys get introduced to Stephen A. Smith?
I remember he had
I've
that
been a
talk
fan
show.
long.
I mean, yeah, like
Cold
20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
He was on Cold Pizza.
matter of fact,
He used to always be with Allen Iverson articles and things
Okay.
like that.
yeah, and ESPN had an NBA show called like NBA Tonight, like
Yeah,
that
that's what I
way
remember,
back
yeah.
then. So
And the reason why I asked that question is because Stephen A. Smith, he's been in journalism for
A long
Decades.
time.
2-3 decades, like we'll say
20
25 years,
Yeah.
something like that. But the profile that he has now, he really didn't get this profile until he started speaking out against African American athletes the way that he do. So and that's kind of where my question came from a Facebook group. Somebody actually posted this in the group asking for it too hard on him. So I
want to ask you a question.
okay.
When you say speaking out against African American athletes, in what capacity and what
Okay,
exactly
let's
are you
say
talking about?
name a white athlete.
Kyle Allen.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper.
Okay, let's say Bryce Harper. Let's say Bryce Harper got cited for having possession of marijuana, right? Stephen A. will go. He will say stay off of the weed, but Stephen A. will basically say he's a young kid. He's immature. He made a mistake. There's no sense in excoriating him like the masses are doing. Give him a chance.
Right.
But as soon as insert African American athlete gets caught with the same thing, it's like his decibels are on stadium. It's a lot more.
I'm thinking in his mind, we have a shorter leash to him, but it's not right to me how he expresses it.
Right.
But I can see the mind frame he's coming from.
Look, take. You can think of this however you want to, because people are gonna feel differently about that particular thing. I'm gonna give you an example. Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, whatever his name was at the time. He went to court for headbutting his wife or something.
Yeah.
Okay. He's in court with his lawyer. He wins the case essentially. He pats his lawyer on the butt, and the judge gives him time because of that. Stephen A. Smith went ballistic. He was just like I can't believe you were that stupid. I say all that to say, you may think I personally think he's more vocal about us when we mess up because he wants us to do better. He cares about us more. I don't know if everybody feels that way. You get what I'm saying? But I do. But I also understand the other side of that. I understand why black people will look at that and be like, man, why are you so hard on us?
Well, plus, if your interactions, so to be fair, the majority, I don't know the exact number, but I'm just going to guess the majority of professional athletes in major North American sports are black.
Right.
So he's
Take out hockey.
yeah.
hockey.
So hey, it's some of us in there too.
It's a few. Yeah.
So, but he's most of his interactions, because he's a journalist, and we know that there's like this rift between journalists and professional athletes. So he has a lot of negative interaction. For instance,
You don't want to make an enemy.
yeah. I was just about to say the Kevin Durant situation. You don't want to make.
I'll actually give him props there, because even though he takes a lot of heat when it comes to whatever it is he say, more often than not, he ends up being right. And a lot of people do hate him for that Kevin Durant saga, but he ended up being right.
He was kind of right, because remember, he said that people told him that Kevin Durant's people told him he was going to LA.
Right.
And that ended up not happening. Now, ultimately, he was right about Kevin Durant leaving OKC, but the details got kind of muddy. But I think my beef with that thing, and I think a lot of people's beef, was don't hold your status over another black person's head like I'm that HNAIC here.
Well,
you don't want to make an enemy of me. It's like, dude, come on, really?
To be fair, is it a defense mechanism? Because he gets attacked a lot.
Yeah.
Because
Hey,
I remember he actually broke the LeBron to Miami thing, and he was killed when he said that in the media. He got killed.
Well, I mean, that's part of being a professional journalist. You got to deal with it. You can't say that LeBron James and Kevin Durant are thin-skinned, something he said on the air many, many times, but yet when he feels the need to defend himself, it's suddenly
He comes across the same
anybody can get got. Or like when T.O. said
Max Kellerman is blacker than you.
blacker than you, and he got super.
Yo,
To be fair, if you would say that to me, I would have. Come on now.
But the thing is was T.O. completely wrong?
He wasn't completely wrong.
And
You call me less black. I'm gonna be mad too,
But I
man.
mean, man, like you got Max Kellerman who used to rap back in the day. Let's not forget
Yeah,
that.
but
Max Kellerman be sunning him on
but
social issues.
A lot of time, and that's kind of where this question comes from. A lot of time, Max Kellerman is on the right side of the argument, which is
Let me
because
explain.
Terrell Owens ain't the first person to say that.
Let me explain.
He just said it on air to
I'm
Stephen
glad,
A.
I'm glad you said that, and I agree with that. However, there is a fine line, and I do mean there's a fine line between being quote unquote not woke and misguided.
But does it have to be woke? No,
Okay, lack of a better term.
okay, so
Whatever you want to call it.
if,
Whatever you want to
if
call
we were
it, all right?
talking one thing or just the Colin Kaepernick situation, maybe, but consistently,
over the last 10 years.
it's like, dog, how you let Max Kellerman
Man, he's no
son
Whitlock,
you?
man. He's no Whitlock.
He's
not-
definitely
he's
not
not
Whitlock.
Whitlock.
He's
Yeah,
definitely not
he is
Whitlock.
not Whitlock.
Now, in regards to Terrell Owens saying that Max Kellerman was more black than listen. I've been finding myself using this line a lot lately. Okay, I'm not saying I would do it, but I understand.
I mean, T.O. can't say that though, man. Like, well, I've never seen T.O. stand up for anything
But
black.
listen,
But you got to
I got a
start at
question.
some point. You
But
got to
I-
start.
But I got a
You
question
can't
for
start
Rodney.
outsunning
But
nobody,
I got a question for Rodney. Has T.O. ever had any chill? Ever?
No.
No.
Yeah,
That's
this
what
is the
I'm
man
saying.
who
Never.
did sit-ups in
Yeah.
his driveway.
Yeah, come on, man.
This is why he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Because he ain't got
But
chill.
lastly, I'll say this also. I don't. With Stephen A. Smith, I mean, you got to call it what you are. You are an affluent African-American journalist that has a lot of influence in the sports world. Don't be like, I be in the streets every day too, TL.
You
No,
don't be in
you're
the
not in the streets, bro.
You're not,
No,
right.
you're
You're
not.
in
You got bodyguards.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
You're not in the streets every day. The whole, you know, there's something in the black community we understand. Anybody can get got. No, dog, stop. Just stop, man.
Hey, you guys got any closing remarks on this topic? you got anything, Rodney?
No,
He never missed an opportunity to say you can get got.
Yeah, that's it. Man. I can't add on to
Look,
that.
hey, we're gonna have to come back to this topic later where we can spend more time on it. All right.